everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking once more about another book that I've listened to. This is another one of my books from Audible. I actually finished it a while back, so hopefully I can do it justice. I actually did film a video talking about it, but it was kind of all over the place because I was actually trying out a new eyeshadow palette at the same time. So it was very hard to talk about the eyeshadow palette and then talk about the books. I kept going back and forth, and I was like, no, this book needs my full attention. So anyway, I was going to just kind of do something with myself, just kind of add some color or a pop of lip, just to, you know, get out the house and look a little decent. So I was like, well, let me film it, and I'll talk about The Woman in the Window. So that is our book today. It's The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn, and is it Finn? Let me make sure before, yeah. A.J. Finn is actually his first novel, which is pretty exciting, so I'm already looking forward to what he has in store for us next. At the end of this Audible book is actually an interview with the author. So he talks about how he came up with the story, which is wickedly crazy and like all over the place, but I loved it. And it also just talks about when like his next book possibly will be out, which I kind of forgot because it's been so long since I've listened to this book. But I actually kind of started listening to it again, but I haven't finished it, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. So I really want to do this book justice because it was just such a good book. So this is what it looks like. This would be the book cover as well if you prefer to go get it in book form. I highly recommend it. 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. So it is a psychological thriller, and the narrator, which is Anne-Marie Lee, done a fantastic job. I mean, just phenomenal. She really brought the character to life for me. In the beginning, I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. You know, sometimes it all depends on the narrator whether I'm going to enjoy listening to the book better than reading it. But what made me get it on audio was that it came up as the Audible deal of the day. So it was just like $5, I think. So I immediately got it because I have actually been wanting to read it. I was like, well, let me just go ahead and get it. But I listened to the sample first, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this narrator. But I did it anyway, and I'm super glad I did because it was really good. So I thought the narrator just did a phenomenal job. I just, yeah. I mean, she just really brought out the character for me. And, I mean, all the characters. She did a phenomenal job on all of them. A lot of times, narrators, I find it, like, it's hard to tell what character they're on sometimes. But she did a fantastic job. So, anyway, we'll get into that. But I'll show y'all kind of first what I'm doing. So, like I said, I did not do anything today. I did my usual morning routine as far as my skincare goes, and I put on my moisturizer and all that good stuff, and I just kind of called it. This is usually what goes on every day. This is what I look like every single day. But yeah, if it so happens that maybe Michael comes home and he wants to go out to eat, or maybe I'll go somewhere with Debbie, or, you know, anything that involves me having to get ready later in the day, this is kind of what I do, like, to prepare for it. Now today I'm just going to lightly put on a few things just to kind of give me some color and some dimension or whatever. But what I normally do, just because I'm super oily and I already have, you know, and I don't want to like rewash my face or anything like that, I'll wet my beauty blender. Or another thing I do is I'll take my Blotterazzi's and I'll spray my Prep and Prime on them and kind of moisten them up, and I'll just dab them all over my face, kind of like soaking up the oil. And even like with the dampened beauty blender, in fact, I'm gonna do it right now. Let's just give it a spray. I don't know why it's been doing that. It like wants to twist off. So give yourself a good spritz, and with your dampened beauty blender or Blotterazzi, whatever you want to use, either or, just kind of like, you know, freshen up. That way you don't really have to like rewash your face I mean, you can if you want to. That's totally up to you. But this is pretty much what I do. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of tap that around my face until I feel like, pretty much until like I feel like it's drying, like the Prep and Prime is drying, and I feel like I have a good foundation on here to where I can continue. Now, if I was doing full face, you know, then I would just go ahead and continue with whatever, you know, primer or whatever I wanted to do, but I'm not doing that today. I'm not even going to put on my primer, which sometimes I do that too, but I'm not going to do that. This is the MAC Medium Skin Finish, Mineralized Skin Finish in Medium. Maybe I should have said it like that. I pretty much hit pan on it, but I'm still trying to get all those edges out of there. So I'm just going to kind of quickly run that all over my face just to give me a little bit of color. I'm going to add some blush, some lipstick. This is going to be the new lipstick that I picked up. This is Julianne's Nude, so we're going to try that out. And I have this CoverGirl Peacock Flare mascara that Debbie told me about. I don't think she likes hers. I don't think she liked it, so I'm going to go ahead and see what I feel about it, and I think that's it. We might do, no, I don't think I'm going to do bronzer. I don't think I'm going to do all that. It's just going to be quick and easy and simple. Okay, so, kind of comb my eyebrows. So, the woman in the window. So, it starts out as, of course, a woman in the window. So, she's looking out of her window. Her name is Anna Fox. She used to be a child psychologist. So the story starts out as her looking out of her window through her camera at her neighbors. And so she has, like, you know, different neighbors. So she's basically kind of like explaining where they live and a little bit about their house and who they are. But she doesn't know like their names because she doesn't get out of her house. She has a phobia called agoraphobia, which I didn't even know was a phobia. But it is basically, it's basically brought on when someone has or has been through a traumatic incident in their life to where they can't go out in the world anymore. Like, it just completely scares them. They get stressed out about it. They don't want to have any part of the outer world, so they keep themselves secluded. And so that's basically what she is. So she has this agoraphobia. So, but you don't know where she got this at or how she got it, when she got it. You know, it all just kind of starts off explaining. Does it explain how she? Not in the beginning. I mean, I know you don't get her story till, I was about 5 hours in before you actually started getting her story on, like, where like, what happened to get her to this point that she even had agoraphobia. So yeah, so the book starts off that she's looking out of her window at her neighbors through her camera. And, like I said, she doesn't know the names of these neighbors, but she's very familiar with them because she, you know, watches them all the time, which is kind of sounds a little creepy, I know, in the beginning, but it's really fascinating, like, the more you get into the book. So she kind of comes up with her own little stories of what's going on based on what they're doing. And she gives them, like, characters, and, like, she gives them names and things like that. She says, you know, like, I'm going to call her Rita. And, you know, she explains, you know, I don't know her real name, but she looks like a Rita. You know, she's a redhead or whatever. So we talk a little, she talks a little bit about all her neighbors in the beginning, basically. And then you kind of get to know her for, like, I guess the next 5 hours. And basically, if you're listening to the audiobook, you basically just get to know her. And she likes old movies. She talks to her husband and her daughter, and you're not sure at this point why they're not there with her. In the beginning, I kind of come up with, you know, because you don't really know what's wrong with her. You kind of know that she's a lush, and she kind of keeps to herself, but you don't know why she's like that. And so you're thinking, okay, well, maybe it's the husband's weekend, maybe they're separated and it's the husband's weekend with the kids or something like that, or maybe, I don't know. They have one daughter together, and you just kind of speculate like what the deal is. But she talks to them all the time, and but she is quite a lush. She loves her red wine, mostly Merlot. She'll have something else, or she'll have whiskey or brandy, or she'll drink any alcohol you want to give her. It's quite funny actually, because she'll wake up and she's like, I need a drink, or like she wakes up with a hangover and she's like, I know what'll fix this, maybe a sip of Merlot, or just something like that. It's really funny, and I really enjoyed like getting to know her, because like I said, the narrator really brought her to life. I don't know how I would have felt reading it. Debbie read it, just like read the actual, well, not actual book. She had it on her Nook, I believe. But and she enjoyed it too. So I guess you kind of get the same, vibe. But I really liked the narrator. I can't say enough good things about this narrator, y'all. I really liked her. So yeah, so like I said, you get to know her, and she likes to play chess, like online chess. And then you find out that she has like this, I don't know if it's like a chat room maybe, or a blog. And I don't think she made it. No, she didn't make it. She just kind of stumbled upon it. It was, I guess, like a chat room kind of thing, where other people have agoraphobia, this phobia that she has, and they kind of talk to each other and help each other through things. Well, she mentioned one time in the chat room that she used to be a child psychologist, so of course they started asking her questions and how can you help me get through this and all this stuff. So, and she kind of has it. She's kind of made it like this is what she looks forward to, helping other people get through their phobia. And even though she can't get out the house herself, it helps her. It makes her feel better about herself helping other people, which I can totally kind of understand. So she calls herself The Doctor Is In. And then, she has all these other little buddies on there. So one day, like I said, about 5 hours in, she's in the chat room, and she meets Granny Lizzie. And let me backtrack a little bit. Let's go back. But before I continue, I know I said I'm not supposed to do this, but I forgot to mention, I'm using the L'Oreal Enchanted blush, the one that smells like peaches. I've actually used it a couple times, and I'm really enjoying it. I'll have a video coming up soon. I'll be using the palette and the blush. But I didn't want to mix that in, because I think that deserves its own video, and this deserves its own video. But anyway, that's the blush I'm using today. And I think I do need a little bit of bronzer just to kind of liven things up a bit. So I'm just going to use my bronzer in my Je ne sais quoi it palette real quick. So before she meets Granny Lizzie, she gets a visit from one of the new neighbors. Now, she talks about the new neighbors in the beginning, because she talks about like there's some people moving in at the house across the park, wherever that is. She lives in New York City, and so I'm guessing like some brownstones, I'm guessing, because she talks about how hers is one of maybe the nicer ones. Maybe it's a 4-story, and she bought it, for the family, and her husband was, I believe, like an architect or something, so he had like his own office, and then she had a floor, her own office. So it was kind of like, for their life before whatever happened that brought her to this point that she's at now. So the young boy, well, I say young, he's like 15 or 16 maybe? 15. Okay, we're going to go 15 or 16. But he comes to visit, and he brings with him a lavender candle. And so at this point I'm thinking, well, this is odd. Well, now he says that his mother sent him over with this gift for her. Now I'm thinking, hold up. First of all, she's not the new neighbor. You're the new neighbor, so really she should be the one bringing you the gift, right? I don't know, but maybe some people are different, and obviously she doesn't get out of her house, so maybe they notice it. It doesn't say anything to that extent in the book. These are just thoughts going through my head because I think about these things. So anyway, so I just found it a little odd that he was coming over with like a gift, housewarming gift, or like meet the neighbor gift. I'm not even sure what kind of gift it is. It's just like, he's like, my mom just told me to bring this over for you. And she doesn't even think of it as weird or anything like that. I'm the one that's sitting here like, this is just weird to me. But anyway, you'll learn more about that later. So he comes in and he talks a little bit about himself, and he's kind of like, you get the sense that he's a loner. He moved into a new town, and he doesn't know anybody, and he tells her that he likes to swim, and that his dad got him like this job at a like a YMCA type thing, to where he's teaching special needs kids how to swim. Which you're thinking at this point, I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. This sounds like a really sweet little boy. And of course, she's a or used to be a psychologist, child psychologist. She's also kind of like not speculating, but just kind of like getting her own opinion of this young man. So anyway, so she meets him right away. And then he leaves. She has a cat, so you learn that he's allergic to cats. And I forget what the cat's name is. It's kind of a weird name. So after she meets the little boy, there's a few more things, little tidbits that, you get to know her and like where she lives. And she does have a tenant who lives in like the basement. So I guess the 4 stories would include the basement of the brownstone, I'm guessing. So he lives in the lower part. And she basically has him there to kind of do her outside things, like, because she can't go out to the grocery store, she can't she can't do these things. So she, when she specified that she wanted a tenant, she did specify what kind of tenant that she wanted. So he does these things for her, and then she wanted someone to be able to fix things around the house if need be, or whatever like that. So that's kind of what he's there for. And so you get to meet him. And apparently he's very good looking. He does come more into the picture later on in the book, but I'm not going to get into that in case you want to read it, because it does kind of have significancy to the book. But I did want to mention him because he does kind of come along later, or little bits and pieces in the book. But he's really not a big part of the story. But he's not a big part of the story. He's just like I said, little tidbits here and there that kind of lead up to the main, the main highlight of the book. So after all that, like I said, about 5 hours in, she starts telling her story to Granny Lizzie that she meets in the agoraphobia chat room. And apparently Granny Lizzie has just recently become agoraphobic due to the fact that she's lost her husband, and she doesn't. That scared the crap out of me. This number has been calling me all day. Let's see who it is. Hello?
This is a message from the Health Insurance Enrollment Center. You need to act fast. With the current executive order signed.
No. So, as I was saying, Granny Lizzie, lost her husband, and this has kind of brought her to where she is scared, pretty much scared to live her life without her husband, which I can kind of, see where that could happen, Now, you want to pay attention to Granny Lizzie because she does play a part later on in the story. So you definitely want to pay attention to her. And she is who Anna tells her story to. So she tells her story she just has complete confidence in this woman that she feels like she can tell her story to this person. She's never really told her story to anyone. I don't even know, like, she has a psychiatrist that comes see her at her home, and she also has a physical therapist. And there's another, part. That's another part of the story that kind of gets you to where, like, well, what happened? So she needs physical therapy and she needs a psychologist. And so as as I'm listening within like this 5 hours of getting to know Anna, I'm trying to figure out what happened to her to get her to this point, and why isn't she living with her husband and her daughter? Okay, they could probably be separated and her daughter is just with him at the moment, Or maybe something so dramatic has happened that she cannot, to the point where she can't get out of her house, also to the point to where she can't take care of her child. So did they separate and now he has full custody of the child? So these are the things that I'm thinking. So, so like I said, you start getting her story, and it comes in bits and pieces, which I really liked. I thought it was so fascinating just reading this, because she tells Granny Lizzie kind of like, well, I lost my husband too. And so you're thinking, oh, so they did, separate. Obviously they're talking, so she didn't like lose her husband. So they did separate, they divorced, whatever. But why? So anyway, you start getting her story, but then then Granny Lizzie has to go, or things like that. So she tells her story to Granny Lizzie in bits and pieces throughout the rest of the book. And in the meantime, like in the middle, things start to happen, or things start to take place. Like I said, she drinks quite a lot. And it's very funny to listen to, especially listen to the narrator interpret her drunkenness and just lush. I don't know. It's hilarious. I mean, I think you should listen to it, but definitely read it. And she's also on a lot of medication, but she forgets to take it, or sometimes she forgets that she already took it and takes it again. So it's really funny. I mean, she never like ODs or anything. She's just kind of like, oh shit, I already took those, it's hilarious. Because when like she wakes up the next morning, she's like, why am I so hungover? And then she like remembers, like, oh shit, I took too many pills. I mean, I just chuckled a good bit throughout this book. So yeah, so like I said, things start to happen. She describes, like, I'm going to put my mascara on one of these days. So she describes to you how her psychologist is trying to help her kind of cope with her agoraphobia, and really kind of help her through it, and like help her slowly get out the house, if so he gives her like, he's like, take an object that you feel safe with. And I guess for her, I think that's what I don't know why the umbrella comes into the picture, but she has this umbrella that is like her, I guess like her safety blanket to try to go outside. And like she has to take baby steps. So like he starts off with her like having to go out into like the backyard. And so she describes that to you, and it's so in detail. Like you're sitting there like, you can do it, that's how I was. And I'm just sitting there like, one step, 2 step. And so she's like, he gives her like these breathing techniques, and to, take a deep breath and then count 1, 2, take another step, 3, 4, things like that. And you're like, is she gonna make it? Well, so we get a little further on in the book. I'm like sweating. It is hot up in here. So we get a little further on in the book, and she's looking out of her window one day, and like I said, she likes to watch old movies. So within the book, she's also like monologuing movie quotes, and it's older movies. So if you like older movies, you may understand the quotes that she's saying. But Some of them I did, but some of them I was like, what is she talking about? Just because, like, out of the blue, she, like, just starts saying, like, these quotes from these old movies, and you're like, okay, she's nuts. Which she pretty much is. So, yeah, so one day she is, you know, she's got her old movie on, and she's looking out the window with her camera, and she does take pictures every now and then. So she does talk about how she has, like, I guess maybe a photo album, like her neighbors, I guess, kind of in action. I'm gonna put one more coat on. I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, it's okay. I don't feel like it's doing anything drastic that any of my other mascaras can do, but I guess for a drugstore, it's kind of clumpy. I kind of had to, like, work the wand a little bit, and it kind of comes out clumpy on the wand. I'm not sure I like the wand either. I don't know. Maybe, you know, Debbie didn't like it, so I'm not sure if I'm liking it. But anyway, what was I saying? Where was I at? Oh yeah, so anyway, one day she's got her movie on, she's got her glass of wine. She's always got a glass of wine. I'm talking always. It even sometimes mentioned that she'll go to 2 or 3 bottles a day. Like, she'll go through 2 to 3 bottles a day. That's insane. Like, I can barely get through a glass. She's looking out the window, and she sees something. You know, she witnesses something happening. Now, before this, she gets a visitor, and you're thinking this whole time that this visitor is Ethan. Ethan was a little boy, or the little 15-year-old guy. I don't know what you call him at that point. Young man, I guess. His mother. Okay. She doesn't deny the fact that she's his mother. So, and her name, presumably, is Jane Russell. Jane Russell. So Ethan Russell is the little guy's name. And you get a visit from her, and they become, like, kind of good friends, her and Anna. And Anna really likes her. You know, she drinks with her. She's also, like, she's also apparently an artist, because she draws Anna. And so they, like, have this day together. Well, she meets Anna when, I'm kind of going back a little bit. She meets Anna on Halloween when some little shits, as she calls them in the book, are throwing eggs at Anna's windows, or at Anna's brownstone or house or whatever. And Anna is actually trying to go outside and, like, stop these little kids from egging her house. Okay, I don't think I like this. I don't think I like the mascara anyway. It's very dry and just clumpy, and I feel like I gotta work with it, and I don't feel like it really does anything for me. But that's beside the point. See, I can kind of go off track a little bit. But, Anna is trying to get out the house. You know, she's got her umbrella. Does she have her umbrella, or did she forget it? I don't remember, but I know a scene where she does take her umbrella with her, but at this point I'm not sure if her umbrella is with her or not. But she tries to go outside, and long story short, she ends up having, like, a panic attack and, like, passes out. So it takes a while to get to that point, because she's describing the entire scene. So Jane comes over, or comes to her rescue, I guess you would call it, comes to her rescue, and, you know, she calls them little shits, and I guess, like, chases them off or whatever. So, and she helps Anna back into her house or whatever. Well, the next day she actually comes to visit and see if Anna's okay or whatever, and they end up, you know, having, like, a little girl time with each other, and we're, like, really enjoying each other's time together. And I'm gonna put on my lips in a minute, but I just want to kind of finish. I want to give this book, like, the justice that it needs, because it's such a good book. So they kind of get to, you know, they bond a little bit, and then, you know, then she leaves, and then, like, later on, the husband, or the kid's dad, comes, and he's, you know, he questions Anna, you know, has my wife been here? And Jane has kind of told her some things about the husband, and so she doesn't want to get Jane in trouble. So she kind of tells the husband, no, he hasn't been here, but your son has. and she shows him the candle and blah blah blah. You know, she's a little loopy, you know. So he gets all kind of like, you know, why was my son here and all this other stuff. So anyway, like, I had kind of went back. So yeah, so after all that happens, one day, it's like maybe a couple days later, she sees something happen. So she witnesses something happen with this family across the park. And so she tries to, you know, so as she's witnessing this, I don't want to get too much into detail about what it is, and I'll probably have to end it soon, because kind of after this, things really start to happen and you start to get more of her story. And the only way I can explain that is to tell you her story, and I don't want to tell you her story because I want you to read this book. But so anyway, as she's seeing what is happening across the park, she wants to help. So she grabs her umbrella and she tries to make her way out there. So she like gets out the house and she's having like full on panic attack. But she's trying to get there because she is determined to help what is happening. And so she ends up, like, long story short, because it does get very descriptive, she ends up passing out basically again. So but she tries to call the ambulance before she goes out the house, which she's calling 911 actually. And when they go back to like, when she goes back to like listen to the phone call, she's like so drunk and just out of it, you know, because the people on the phone, like, while you're reading this, you're thinking like, just listen to her. She needs help. You know, something has happened and she needs your help. She needs you to come now. You know, but then later on in the story, when you listen to how like the 911 caller hears this crazy person, you kind of get why they were like, well, calm down, ma'am, you know, can you tell us what is going on? You know, it was just kind of like, just get your butts over here. But anyway, so they do end up coming, but she's the one that they take to the hospital. So you know what she sees at this point, but you don't know if she really sees that, you know, because at this point you're thinking, okay, well, this chick is kind of crazy. So I don't know if what she's seeing is real, you know. And she likes her old movies, especially like Alfred Hitchcock type movies. And she's always monologuing in her head. So you don't know if what's happening across the park is for real or not. So once she wakes up at the hospital, because this is Anna's telling her story, so you don't know what's going on like in between. So she wakes up in the hospital and, you know, she's like, well, what happened? You know, did you help them? And, you know, they're kind of like, we don't know what you're talking about, kind of thing. So anyway, they try to, you know, of course she's freaking out, of course, because she's out of her house. So they're trying to like, oh, do you have anyone that you want us to call? Any family that we can call to come get you? You know, things like that. And she's like, no, I have no one. And so you're thinking, well, what about the husband and the kid, you know? And in her head, she's thinking, oh, I do have Ed and Olivia, but I don't want to bother them. And you're like, well, why? They're your family. You know, you might need, you might need their help. But then on the other hand, you're like, okay, well, she's crazy. So maybe her non-crazy part of her brain is thinking, no, you don't need them. You know, this is just another incident that is happening to you, and you just need to get home, you know, whatever. I don't know. I'm like trying to figure out what's going on through this crazy person's head. But she's hilarious nonetheless. But anyway, the good detective takes her home. You know, she's asking her questions and she's asking him questions, and, you know, they talk about Jane. And I don't want to say too much because it's gonna give everything away. And there's so many twists and turns towards the end of the book, because at one point you're like, aha, and then, but it's not like the end of the book. You like got like a few hours left to go. You know, I'll say a few, but it's, you know, a lot more hours to go. So you're thinking, well, maybe the rest of the book will just be like her trying to get her life back together. Because you kind of find out what has happened to her. So during all these little things that are happening, you get her story in between them. So it comes to you at little increments, little bitty increments along the way. She's telling this to Granny Lizzie on her agoraphobia chat room. So I can't keep my hands off my hair. I know. I'm just really excited about this book. It was so good. I have been telling everyone to pick it up and read it because I made my sister-in-law buy it at Barnes and Nobles the other day. So I hope she likes it. But I can't really tell you anymore, like I said, because I'm gonna give too much of it away, because I mean, like, hours left in the book and so much happens, like all these little twists and turns, and maybe, oh, it's this person, no, it's not that person, it's this person, well, what's going on with this person, oh my goodness, this, it's all kind of coming together, and it's just, it's nuts. The ending is nuts, but the ending, like, it doesn't drag out. It's just so much to the ending. Like, there's so much more after you find out her story and how she got to this point. That is just, it's just mind blowing. It's just like I couldn't put it down. Like, I was just walking around the house with my headphones in. Like, if Michael tried to talk to me, I was like, not right now. It was serious. It was serious business. Like, I really, like, it was good stuff. So I don't want to say any more, so I'm gonna kind of end it here. We'll put my lipstick on, but because I don't want to ruin it for you. But I just thought it was such a good book, and it's so worth your credit if you have credits from Audible. Your first book is free if you are not a member, Audible member. Your first book is free when you can just try them for free, and if you don't like it, you don't have to continue your membership, kind of thing. But I would highly recommend this as your first read. It's 13 hours long, 13 hours and 41 minutes. So it's definitely worth the credit, because credits, I mean, like, I fly through my credits. Like, I like have to like wait, and I'm like, I need another book, like, stat. Like, I'm obsessed. But I definitely, if you are not an Audible member and you want to try it out, get this book. Just get it. So let's see what this is. Julianne's nude in the L'Oreal. It's very pretty. I have not worn it yet. I think I might have tried it on in a video, but I had something under it, so I didn't get the full effect of it. I know I'm kind of like all over the place. I love how these lipsticks feel. They're just so soft, and my only complaint about them is they have like this plasticky kind of taste. Not plasticky, but I mentioned this before. It's sort of like if anybody out there has ever had like a strawberry shortcake doll, that, how it smelled like plastic mixed in with strawberry. It's kind of what this is like. It's got that plasticky smell, but yet there's something in it that kind of smells good. Not really like fruity or strawberry, but like something, maybe blueberry. I don't know. I'm reaching, but that's my only complaint with these things. But it doesn't bother me. Like, I've worn lipsticks before that were really like bad, especially bad tasting. But like, I mean, this one I can put up with it. It kind of actually goes away after a little while, but that's the only thing about it. But look how pretty, and it feels so good on the lips. It's just like, this is just a good everyday pink nude lip color. It's just good. And the J-Lo's nude is just a little bit more on like the mauvier kind of side. So I found like this was more like peachy pink, maybe. I don't know. But I really like it. I really like it. And it's just, like I said, it feels good on the lips, and it just looks natural. So anyway, okay. I'm going to stop rambling. I need to get to Walmart, but I really think you should get this book, y'all. It's so good. I wish I could finish talking about it with y'all. But like I said, if I go too much further into the book, because kind of after this incident, that's when things pretty much start to take off. And, she starts to like question people and question things, and just all kinds of different things starts to happen. And like, she finds Jane's earrings in like her tenant's bedroom or something. Oh, and something happens with the tenant and her. It gets a little steamy at one point, but I mean, it's nothing, it's nothing erotic, or, you know, it's not like a romance or novel of any sort, but something between them happens. And that's where she sees the earrings that she swears is Jane's earrings. So things just start taking off after, you know, her little hospital visit, and things just start to happen. And if I talk more about it, I'm gonna tell y'all, just go get the book or listen to it on Audible. Your first listen is free. This is not paid advertisement for the book, for Audible, nothing. This is just my opinion on the book. I absolutely love the book. I think the Audible version is phenomenal, just because the narrator just brought the character to life for me. You may not even like the narrator, but you can definitely check the sample out. But I don't know if I would go by the sample, because the sample didn't like really do it for me. What did it for me was that it was $5, so that's what did it for me. But I wanted the book anyway. But yeah, it was just a good book. So I'm gonna leave y'all with that. I hope I did it justice. I really wanted, like, I really thought about how I was gonna talk about this book, because I didn't really know how I was gonna get the point across without giving away her story, because I really want y'all to listen to her story, and you get to where you get her, like, oh, okay, now I see why you're like this. Yeah, I can see. But it's like, I laughed, I cried. It's just a really good book, and this is the author's first novel, so I can't wait to see what else he has in store for us. So I'm super excited about that. I think he has something coming out at the end of this year, maybe, if I'm correct. They had the interview at the end of the audio. He talks about that. So yeah, just really good book. Okay, I'm gonna stop now. I hope y'all pick it up. If y'all do, let me know. Let me know in the comments below, or come follow me on Instagram and let me know there, anywhere. I want to know how you like this book. All right, I will go now, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.